Okay, I'm back with the start of my first video series. Yep. And it's going to be a season-by-season review of every season of Power Rangers. This is not like History of Power Rangers. This is not that. There's not going to be any video clips or anything like that. So what better way to start a Power Rangers season series than with MMPR Season 1. Probably the best season, but then again, I'm partial to that. Opening episode of the season was, of course, Day of the Dumpster, where we're introduced to the 5 original Rangers. Jason, the Red Ranger, the leader of the team. Billy, the brains of the team, who even had his own language, Billy Speak, as the Blue Ranger. You had Zach as the Black Ranger, Trini the Yellow Ranger, and Kimberly the Pink Ranger. And I know that people are going to say, well, a black guy played the first Black Ranger and an Asian played the first Yellow Ranger, and that was probably some unintentional racism. Saban fixed that when they actually had a changeover. So, but Day of the Dumpster was a very good episode to start the season. Start the series, in the fact that it did a good job establishing why the Rangers were brought to Rangers. It established the villain, Rita Repulsa, and her comical array of baddies. Goldar, her flying monkey. Finster, her monster maker. And, of course, the comic relief duo of Squat and Babu. And it also, of course, established the mentor Zordon and his trusty, annoying, sidekick, Alpha 5. Which is much better than Alpha later in the series, but that's for a whole nother time. After Day of the Dumpster, there's a whole bunch of filler episodes until, quite frankly, the best multi-part story arc ever in History of Power Rangers happened, which was the Green with Evil saga, which introduced Jason David Frank as Tommy Oliver. That was a cousin of mine. Ignore him. It's the most well-done, well-written 5-part story arc in the history of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And on top of that, Jason David Frank, who's so popular, he's actually been the single most popular character in the history of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and has actually been in the most episodes of the entire series, at, I believe, around 250. I believe. Basically, Green if Evil, Rita makes her own power coin for her own Green Ranger, and places Tommy under a spell when he's able to fend off some of her putties by himself. And he does more than Rita ever did in the series by actually destroying the power chamber, cutting Rangers off from Zordon, and a lot of other things that Rita was obviously too dumb to ever do. Eventually, the other Rangers break the spell, and Tommy joins the team with the mighty Dragon Zord and the Dragon Flute. The Dragon Zord, of course, can combine with the normal Megazord to combine the Mega Dragon Zord. Then there's a whole lot more filler until we get to the Green Candle saga of MMPR, which dealt with Rita stealing Tommy's Green Ranger powers by the use of a green candle. Jason had to go into the Dark Dimension to try to find the green candle and save it, but he was too late, and Tommy's powers, while they were not gone, they were very, very weak. And eventually, Tommy had to leave, which was another good idea that season did, because Tommy would come back periodically, and when he was, you obviously would get views out of it. Tommy did show back up in a 2-part episode called Return of an Old Friend, which Rita actually hatched a very logical plan for once in her existence, when she actually kidnapped the Rangers' parents in exchange for the power coins, which the Rangers stupidly believed that they would get them back by doing that, which they obviously didn't. So they enlist Tommy to go in and find them. But but Tommy has no power, so Zordon infuses Tommy with some of his power to allow him to get the power coins back. Yeah. And Tommy would basically stay for the rest of the season in the limited power capacity after that. The finale of the season was supposed to be the episode called Doomsday, in which the Rangers defeated Rita Repulsa's Zord, Cyclopsis. But it proved so popular that MMPR got an additional 20 episodes after that, and it really didn't end on a cliffhanger, none, because it really didn't. It ended on just basic filler episode stuff, which any Power Rangers season should never end on a filler episode. It looks really, really weak. MMPR was not a bad season. In fact, it's probably the best of the first three. Again, Jason was a very good Red Ranger, always taking action, taking leadership, which is what the Red Rangers should do. The Red Ranger is the inherent leader of the team. This is a problem with some of the other Red Rangers later in the series that I'll cover when I get to those certain series. So Kimberly, the original Pink Ranger, basically a lot of preteen boys had a massive crush on back in the day. And I do mean massive, massive, massive crush. Probably to where a lot of them had the Pink Ranger action figure, just because of that. She was your Valley Girl character. That was pretty much her personality. She didn't develop much after that. Billy was a very good Blue Ranger, being the technical person on the team with Alpha, which would also come in later in the series too, when we got to other incarnations of Power Rangers. Zach was a normal, just everyday, run-of-the-mill guy. Didn't have too much character development, other than a off-and-on relationship with a girl he was chasing called Angela, which never came to fruition anyway, so that was pointless. Trini wasn't much either. Never had development, which was a problem with the Yellow Ranger and MMPR. They never had development a lot. That would come up again in Season 2 of it. So, yeah. And, of course, there's Tommy, who, quite frankly, as I said, became the most popular Power Ranger in the history of Power Rangers. And still is. And has been in every kind of a reunion show possible, too, by the way. He was what cemented Power Rangers as the juggernaut that it is in children's television today, because when you think of a children's show that's been on for 20 years, you have to give it credit whether you like it or you don't. I know people who do, I know people who don't. But it's been on for 20 years, you can't take that away from it. So, and Jason David Frank, JDF as a lot of people like to call him, really cemented that. He's essentially he's the support. He's the foundation. You take him out, Power Rangers goes downhill. Which we would find out again in another season. But again, that's for that when we get there. Season 2, which will be the next video I do, which will be sometime later, had some changes for the good, actually. So, but again, that's for another video. So if you like this, thumbs up down there. Comment, subscribe, and thank you.